Welcome to Power Up, the podcast that uncovers the unique challenges women leaders face today. Join your hosts, Nat and Kristen, as we dive into the tough topics and provide actionable insights you can apply right now. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any episodes.
Hello. This week we're being really self-serving because one of the things we often hear when people are getting up and running with Powrsuit is not having enough time. And when we talk to partners, and often our partners have very generously paid for 10, 20, 30 memberships for people in their team, the challenge they often have is how do we get people to take ownership over their calendars and create time? And that idea of no one but you is going to protect and guard and create boundaries around your time. So we thought self-serving, because it helps us free up Powrsuiters' time to come along to live events or watch them on demand. But also it's obviously a real problem for women.
Yeah, it's time poor is the new busy.
Yeah, it kind of is. And also there is, I think what I've wondered in the last few weeks since we've started pondering this, is there's just an endless barrage of requests for time. Like no one else is sitting there going, oh, I should be careful about Kristen's time. So everyone's just throwing an invite in because that's how work is, right? I do what I need and I ask you to give me
Everybody wants a piece of you.
Of you?
Well, generally. Of you. Of me. Of
Everyone wants a piece of Kristen.
Everyone wants a piece of you. Be it your partner, your friends, your colleagues, your senior stakeholders, your children, your dog.
Your dog really does want a piece of both of us.
I haven't given her a walk today, so she's a wee bit needy. But everyone wants a piece of us. We are time poor. We hear you loud and clear. So we jumped into solution mode and we thought about how do we take control of our time? And I'm not sure we've perfected it, but there's some things that we have done that I think what we have perfected, Nat, is we're master prioritizers, and there's a few things we do in prioritizing the work that we work on and the time that we spend during the week. What better way to impart some of those hacks than on Power Up?
And I was also thinking one of the things we're thinking about at the moment is the unique value Powrsuit provides and what communities are. And I think one of the things about communities is shared language. And one piece of shared language I'd like to implement across Powrsuit is Kristen's favorite thing, which is self-rating ourselves as excellent. You just said we were perfect. And I love that. I think that should be a real Powrsuiter community thing. Like that is what unites Powrsuiters. We often rate ourselves and give ourselves a really high mark.
Well, it's one thing that I feel that we do well. So, hey, why not?
I love it. I agree. I actually think we are, because I often get asked this, especially because we're doing startup, that people are like, how do you find time? Are you manic? Like people are often, do you find this blown away by the fact that there's not a big team behind us? They're like, how do you get it all done?
Yeah.
And I was like, we're very good at prioritization.
Yeah, that's right.
And automation.
Yeah. I don't know what Nat has brought today. She doesn't know what I've brought, but we've gone away and asked ourselves, what are our top 3 calendar/time/scheduling hacks that we would like to share with you that you might find helpful? And we're going to just go one at a time and go through them.
Do you want to start?
I'll start. And my first hack is that I spend half an hour a week doing calendar planning. And so the times that I find it most effective for me personally are Sunday, but this past week I did it Friday. And so end of day Friday, after all the week is done and all the work is done, and I knew that I wanted to take this weekend off, I spent half an hour looking at my calendar for the next week and figuring out where is it that my time is spent. Are the most pressing things there? Are there some things that can move out? And then I transfer that onto our power planning sheet. Sometimes I also do it Sunday night because for me, that stress of going into the Monday blues, almost I think 80% of people experience Monday blues. And I think sometimes Sunday night can reduce the Monday blues by just hopping in for half an hour and taking a look at your calendar of what is on this week and having a critical eye over what those things are. And then we come to our Monday morning planning session, which is the same part of this review, and we go through all the critical things, like the key things that we have on that we need to get done this week, and what are things that can wait, and then we make sure that our calendars align with those. So between half an hour individually, personally for me, Friday and or Sunday, and half an hour with us together, that has sorted my calendar for the week. And all I now need to do is do and the mental load is gone because my calendar's set. And I can do that for my personal life as well, in terms of who's doing walking the dog or who's picking up the kids and whatever. But once it's set, it's set.
I think you've just come up with another one of our community shared language, which is calendar is God.
Yeah.
Because once God tells you what to do, you do it, right? Yes. You've set it all up so you don't have to think about it. I was writing a note there because I had the same first point. So I'm going to switch to my second first point, my new first point.
Okay.
And I'm putting this under no ghosting because I hate ghosting. I hate when people don't turn up. And I was actually talking to people about turning up late the other day. But I have written under this subpoints, decline early, honestly, and deliberately. So if someone invites me to something, I will stop for a second. If it's in the moment and I'm not sure, I'll say, I'm not sure. I will go away and check. And then I line it up against that priority and go, is this a priority? Is this something I want to do? Because the number of times I used to accept things I didn't want to do, and now I know that's that future you bias. I don't know what it's called, where you're like, somehow miraculously future you is going to be cool with doing this thing that current you doesn't want to do, like waking up at 5 a.m. for a flight. You know, that stuff that you accept. Yeah. So think about whether or not you want to do it, and actually you get to decide that. And if you decide you don't want to do it, then decline straight away and decline honestly. I also don't like the fake excuses. Just say, hey, this isn't a priority for me at the moment, or I'm not feeling up for it. I am actually prioritizing downtime for myself to have a bit of a break. I've got a lot on this week. Whatever it is, I think use your actual excuse, because I actually think it's really useful to keep in track with how we're actually feeling. And I think people value you and respect you for it. I also have said decline early because sometimes things change, and in my life there have been times where I've been really enthusiastically yes about something and then I've gotten really tired or other things have cropped up. Don't delay. As soon as you know it's going to be a problem, let people know. And same goes if you're running late. The odd time, I'm so much better at this than I used to be. I think it's a really important leadership trait, being at places on time. If I'm going to be late and I think it's even going to be 3 minutes late, I probably know that 15 to 20 minutes out because I haven't done the thing that's going to get me there on time. That's when I tell someone I'm going to be running late so that they have time to delay leaving or whatever else.
I feel as though COVID wrecked us. Like, we have actually changed our lives as a result of that pandemic. Many of us do adhere to a hybrid work style, which means that there are some days we're in the office, some days we're at home, yet we're still accepting events and calendar invites like pre-COVID, and that we're in the office every day and we have this routine that is rinse and repeat. We're no longer like that. And not to mention, gosh, it seems like it's not only us that's more flexy now, but even, oh my goodness, the amount of like no school day today, and it's like learn from home day today. I'm like, why? We just had 4 years of it. Why? No, we didn't. But anyway, so much has changed how we live our days, yet we're still accepting like we used to. Like, we're gonna all of a sudden feel like working from home all day and then go into town for an event in the evening.
I'm gonna want to do it.
We're not gonna want to do it.
I'm not gonna want to do it.
I was chatting with someone who runs events the other day in Auckland. 40% don't show. I'm like, oh my goodness. Out of 100 people, you have 60 that come. I'm like, that's rude. Because I do think that's rude. And you're actually,
that's so true. Because I think as people who run events, that kind of falls under the no ghosting thing. People who run events have put time and effort in. So RSVP no, early. And honestly, if you change your mind at the beginning of the day, if you get in touch at the beginning of the day, at least they know at the beginning of the day, rather than turning up and having all the cheers and then they have to quickly scramble and all that sort of stuff. So
nicely combined with our first 2 points, which is mine is spend the time to do the week review and yours is the no ghosting, and nice little hacks around that. Research that's been put out by Harvard Business School found that people who schedule tasks and activities and meetings and events are more likely to follow through and complete them. So the act of scheduling itself and the act of saying yes should be a deliberate process. You should be putting it in your calendar. That is a psychological commitment. And I guess that flies in the face of this like weird COVID behavior stuff. But like, let's not be those people.
Well, but then that's that decline early. And honestly, we have, it's sort of a side hack. I now plan the days that I'm going to be in town, and if there's one event on, I'll plan 2 or 3 around it because I know it's convenient. So you can do that. Yes. And that allows you to sort of be thoughtful and deliberate about accepting events.
Love it. Okay, are we on to my hack number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, great. My hack number 2 is try to keep your meetings to 15 or 30 minutes. And if you don't, And if you're inviting someone to a meeting that exceeds 30 minutes, be really clear as to why. I was BCC'd, which I do love. Once I'd made an introduction, I was BCC'd after the fact to say, thanks so much, Kristen, moving you to BCC. Appreciate the intro. So-and-so, I'm going to steal an hour of your time. I know it's really selfish, but this is why. And she gave 3 compelling reasons as to why she wanted to take an hour of this person's time. And at first I was a bit like, oh gosh, now I've introduced someone who's now going to take an hour of someone else's time. But then I was like, you know what? She's asking permission. She's being really compelling and she's sharing why. But unless that happens, please you can get a lot done in 15 minutes. We have so many calls with our Powrsuiters in 15 minutes. We get to the heart of some of their deepest challenges in their careers right now and give them, a little bit of a boost or support or make a connection or a bit of advice in 15 minutes. Super powerful. 30, also great. But that's my other hack is try shorter meetings.
Yeah, I think 30 if you need to come to a decision or next steps. 15 is great if you're sort of at early stage chatting about something or learning about something. I agree. It's sort of defaulting to it rather than defaulting to an hour. My second one is be realistic. I used to be a terrible person for this, and I notice a lot of women still today doing it, that we live in best case scenarios. So at the beginning of the week or throughout a day, we pretend we're not going to be interrupted 10 times, or that we have to take some time out to spend time with our team, or that we have children who need us to, be around in the afternoon and maybe a bit distracting, or that I'm like not as good from 4 to 5 because I'm in an energy low, whatever it is. Be realistic about what those things are and plan for them, because as soon as I put time in for that stuff, I stopped resenting it. So if I knew back when I had a decent sized team that I was going to get a bunch of last minute requests every day, rather than resenting that, I just said, this is my hour that I'm going to work on all those requests. And so it didn't feel like it was taking away from the stuff that was my priority because I time boxed it. So I suppose it sort of relates to your first one, but I think it is really important to be realistic about some of those things.
Well, and I think that is a great thing to also suggest if you are hybrid, to be realistic about travel times if you are going into town to meet people, and about buffer times in between each meetings. Like if you go from meeting to meeting to meeting, chances are one of those meetings you're going to go over, then you're going to be late for the next person. It's an awful feeling that you have. The other person is left kind of wondering what's going on. So I think being realistic in that, is it really going to take you, this much time to get from A to B, and or can you really handle back-to-backs?
Yeah, and I just adding to that, the other thing I realized a lot more last week is if I do have a back-to-back, being realistic means at the start of the first meeting telling them I have a hard stop, so that I'm not ending at the end, that last 5 minutes of anxiety being like, are they going to finish talking? Am I going to be able to jump off? Being really upfront and realistic. We have a hard stop. Let's plan for that at the start.
Yeah, great. My third was going to be power to say no, which you've kind of done, like no ghosting. We can say no. And one of my little anecdotes before I move on to my actual third is that Warren Buffett, who is the world's most successful investor, he actually recognized that the most critical skill of a leader and a professional is the power to say no and discerning when you should say no. And in fact, he had a list of things he would say no to so that he could kind of show himself, these are all the things that I said no to this week. And for him, that was a real sign of success because he was able to then prioritize the things that truly did matter, be it relationships, be it moving the needle for his, vast wealth and so on and so forth. His research time, he definitely prioritized his learning in order to be the best investor. So anyway, that was a little cheeky anecdote. But my third is actually just tools. And I actually use some tools in my life. So the first is that question mark of, do you actually have to attend the meeting? We've noticed that in some of our mini master classes, people send their otters along, or whatever AI tool they use for meetings. Their otter comes into the meeting, which we allow in our mini master classes. They don't have to come. They then get the transcript after the fact, even though we do record it and all that stuff. Sometimes that's nice and that works for them.
Well, I think some of those robots are just automated to join any meeting. So.
Yeah, but it must be handy. So you can actually have your AI tool, your bot, join a meeting, get the transcript, or ask someone to do that on your behalf. The other tool we use as a family for our shared familial scheduling is Cozy, C-O-Z-I. I think I've dropped it on this before, but we can kind of go in every time I have a trip. We're supposed to put it in there, which we didn't. So there's a trip coming up where I'm like, I don't know if I can go because my husband booked a fishing trip at the same time because I did not put my trip in.
Is it
Cozy.
a trip that I'm involved in?
No, it's
Okay.
it's one that we might have a giveaway for the Powrsuit community now.
Oh.
Because although I think I just said to my husband, do you want to maybe just check if the guys can change it? So anyway,
I think that's a good point. We're always going to make mistakes.
Yeah. So,
nothing's going to be perfect.
But Cozy is one where we're like, we can assign pickups. We can actually like build our grocery list, our shared grocery list in there. We can put the weekends that we're away, and we should, best as, what is it? The tool's only as good as the user using it. So yeah, Cozy. And then the final one is calendar tools. Number one, your calendar should be visible to all your colleagues, obviously, so that they're not booking over meetings. And then you can auto reject. Should they be booking meetings and sending you calendar invites, you can actually auto-reject those if you already have something in there. And you can do that both in Outlook and Gmail as well. So
I think that's
it.
nice.
For me, it's just like, use the tools. They're there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, that's a good one because there are so many great tools now. My last one, again, sounds self-serving, but it's actually something I've done a lot of, is prioritize yourself. And we've talked a lot about different prioritizations. I put in slots every week to do whatever it is that I'm working on. So at the moment, huge fan of LinkedIn, getting a huge amount of really incredible connections from across the world. I put in 15 minutes twice a week to spend time on LinkedIn, to write a post, to write some comments. Like, that is valuable to me. In the past, it might be spending some time looking for speaking gigs when I was trying to build up more of a portfolio of speaking. I spent time Googling and looking that up. Other times it could be working on when we're writing content to improve writing skills. I don't care what it is. We encourage this with Powrsuit too, is actually take that time because that will be the first thing to drop when life gets busy. And if you don't prioritize it, it will get dropped and you're taking a bite out of your future because you are not focusing on the things that will take you forward.
Yeah, great. Well, I love those tips.
Yeah, we did self-rating really well with our tips.
Okay, and I guess my Kristen's quote corner is one from Simon Fuhleringer, and that is, when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So hopefully that just underlines you being able to discern everything that's going on. What is it that you're protecting? What is it that you're blocking out? And just give a few things a go and let us know how it goes.
Yeah, and like with everything Powrsuit, don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. Just pick one of those things. If any of them resonated with you, pick one of them and do it once in the next week so you're not overcommitting or changing your whole life. Just try one different thing.
Check out powrsuit.com and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.